What's up, guys? Oh, shit. God damn it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet another episode of Make Gears Great Again. The topic of today is good and bad players, and what I believe makes or breaks them. Anything from behavior to skills and general etiquette will be talked about in this video. Obviously, these are my opinions and based on my own experience with these kinds of players. So if you're offended by any of these, then you're basically sorry. For the new guys or actual casual players among us, don't worry about my opinions too much. Many shortcomings or mistakes I mentioned are purely made because of many of you didn't learn the things most of us learned when the game had an extremely tough and long learning curve. And thus these things weren't drilled into your fucking soul, as that is how a lot of veterans learned the game. Remember, most of the time we didn't have any good YouTube videos or teachers that set a certain standard other than what we set ourselves. So let's start off with the good players. In my honest opinion, regardless of being a new player or old, skillful or not, you need a sense of humor. Every Gears game has had a lot of problems, mechanically, connection-wise, and player-wise. Playing Gears of War without a good sense of humor is like eating uncooked rice. Sure, you can eat it, but it won't do you much good. Gears has always had a very serious setting, so to offset that with jokes and banter will only make it so much better. Now, regardless of your sense of humor, you need to know how to handle yourself. More often than not, you can get beat with some weird bullshit that can be unexplainable at the time. And players can and will act as if you're completely worthless for losing to them because of these things, regardless of which Gears of War you're playing. And that's why you have to know when to draw the line between trolling and arguing. These days you can get banned over the smallest thing, so don't send any text messages that could be considered offending. Another thing I've seen good players do is accept other players' flaws if they're in the same team, or accept a lost game that was well fought. Doing this is always a good thing and a reward in it by itself. Being a good player skill-wise is dependent on what type of player you're acting like. If you're an aggressive player, then you should have the basic wall bouncing mechanics down to a T. The emphasis is basic, not advanced. Gears' wall bouncing doesn't have to be very complicated to be effective, but you do have to know the basic mechanics and moves to properly push or counter the other team. If you're a support player, I expect you to know how to spot and when and how to use power weapons. Two things that are very basic skills that can be practiced in every single game mode, even campaign. But somehow many players still forget this, so get working on it. And last but not least, good players don't camp, especially when they're outnumbering or towering above the other team. Gears of War has game modes that don't have any obvious objective, like TDM and execution. And camping does nothing but draw out a match for sometimes ridiculous numbers. As an example, I will tell you I've done certain execution matches on Gears of War 3 that took up to 3 hours to complete, just because the other team spawn camped every single round. So now on to the negative part of the video, the bad players. Of course, it's obvious to pick on the new guys, but I still have to address it. If you're new to the game, meaning you've spent little to no time on the multiplayer side of things compared to the veterans, you have something to prove. And I know that sounds silly, proving yourself in a game, but it's true. I mentioned earlier not to take it to heart, so please take it as advice, because that's what these videos are for. Way too many players move around like AI, and sometimes perform even worse. Part of this is, I believe, the elitism that's been developed on Gears of War. There's very little middle ground. Most games are played when there are new players and veterans. There is a split between extremes. One side is incredibly bad, and the other side, in comparison, incredible. It's unfortunate I have to address it this way, but we can't leave anything untouched. This is what bad players typically do. And by the way, the list could have been a lot longer, but in the interest of the video, I kept it short. So here goes. Number 1, they are an inactive player. And don't mistake this with AFK, because we'll get to that. By being inactive, I mean you are so unaware of the game and what the objectives are, you might as well not play at all. Number 2, they are constantly AFK. And this is a no-brainer, especially in ranked or competitive game types. Number 3, they pick on the worst players and make them quit by constantly teabagging them. Number 4, they play music down their microphone. Number 5, they quit at the start of the game. Number 6, they quit while winning, and that really doesn't make any sense to me. Number 7, they purposely sit in spawn to wait for clutches. Number 8, they purposely send messages to people to ask them if they can clutch on them. Number 9, they glitch their stats. Number 10, they glitch the map so they become unplayable. Number 11, they glitch out of the map and disconnect so you spend hours waiting. Number 12, they glitch period, or cheat, or tamper, or DDoS, or fake report, or boost, and anything else dumb and petty you can think of. Number 13, they often have a god complex and will downplay everything others do well in their own right. And number 14, they have a serious attention disorder, as in they have to hear how great they are at every turn, otherwise people don't mean shit. It doesn't matter how good you believe you are at the game, because none of that excuses your pathetic example as a member of this great game, when you do any of these things on a regular basis. So if you do any of these, you can definitely consider yourself a bad player and a general dickhead in my opinion. So that's it for this episode, boys and girls. You got anything to add? Leave a comment below and let us know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.